We're here to take a look at the Week 6 wide receiver rankings. Now, obviously, we incorporate rest of season and weekly predictions in here all in one, so you don't miss any of the advice. We have the Texans and Vikings on bye week here in week number 6, so keep that in mind for these rankings. These are mostly just rest of season for those guys that are on bye. S tier we have had dialed in since week 2. Puka wide receiver 1, Amon-Ra wide receiver 2. That's not going to change. Amon-Ra had 18 points. Puka had a heck of a day, around 24 plus. Now, is CeeDee Lamb going to be healthy? That's something to consider here. I wouldn't be surprised if CeeDee Lamb misses another game. But if CD is healthy, I think he's fairly ranked in my rankings. JSN is still a top 5 wide receiver in my rankings. JSN continues to put together impressive performances. If we take a look at what JSN did, go check out flockfantasy.com, free tool. Anybody can go look at these rankings. JSN continues to put together 20-point games, had a big reception. He had 130 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. You're starting these guys every single week. All of the guys in B tier and higher are must-start players. Really, even C tier and then D tier is where you start getting the flex. So we're going to go, name by name, but we're going to breeze through some of these earlier guys. Drake London, good play. Coming off of a bye week, looks good. Rome Odunze, they take on the Commanders on Monday Night Football. Now, Jamar Chase is interesting. He had 10 targets. He had 110 receiving yards. He had 2 touchdowns and 6 catches. But do you trust Jake Browning moving forward? Do you bump him up in the rankings? I think so. I'd probably put him right there with I think he's fair. I think it's fairly ranked right here. And I think that you can't have Garrett Wilson ahead of... Do you? Garrett Wilson is getting more looks from Fields. And he's more of a featured receiver than Jamar Chase is. But Jamar Chase had the touchdowns. You don't fall for the trap. And I think this is good for week 6 specifically. So I think we're fine here where we are. Now, we have Ted McMillan, who just continues to get a lot of targets. Now, while the production might not be where you want it for T-Mac, the targets are. Look at this, 9 targets, 10 targets, then the last 3 weeks, 8 targets per game. I know he's only been producing, disappointing flex numbers, but those numbers will come. However, they're not coming fast enough, so we're going to, pause. We're going to have to drop him a little bit in these rankings. A.J. Brown is not trustworthy, but we've seen a couple weeks in a row where they get him involved so that he stops crying. Now, keep in mind, Saquon Barkley had only 6 rush attempts. Again, I can't believe it either. Only 6 rush attempts, so, they're going to change the script. But A.J. Brown, since week 2, is averaging 8 or 9 targets per game. The production's not there outside of 1 week. But, 8 or 9 targets, A.J. Brown's back up in my rankings. Devontae Adams, we're going to have to drop A.J. Brown a tier because I'd rather have Devontae starting in my lineup. The Rams have a good matchup versus the worst defense in the league of the Baltimore Ravens. In fact, Devontae's going to be ahead of a doomsday for me because this Rams team is going to feast on Monday Night Football against the... Who did I just say? The Ravens? It's actually not Monday Night Football. I don't know why I said that. They take on the Ravens, though, and they're going to feast, which actually could be bad because they might not pass the ball once they're up by 40. So keep in mind that going into the future. BTJ, I'm still not super concerned. I haven't seen Monday Night Football yet. If he has another bad game, we're going to bump him down the rankings for sure. Pickens salvages his day. Only 4 targets without CeeDee Lamb after the huge game. Weird. Brings in the touchdown. I'm not going to hold this against him, but I want to see more moving forward. I've yet to see Worthy. Can't do anything with that, but Ibuka has to rise all the way up behind JSN in A tier. Am I crazy? Having a wide receiver rookie as the number 5? You might think it's crazy, but you think I'm crazy. 20 plus points average per game. He's been producing. Now, if Evans is back, definitely bump him down and put Evans back up in these rankings. But I don't know that Evans is going to be back, right? So I think Ibuka is fine where he is. Godwin, I still trust, even after the disappointing week, he should be in your lineup or as a flex player. Sutton continues to perform. MHA without a touchdown, still had a decent day. Not great target volume, though. Pittman looks like he's having a bounce-back year without a broken back. I like him in your lineup. Olave, I continue to like the targets he's getting, even if the production is not amazing. Flowers was the only guy that produced outside of Henry's touchdown for the Ravens. He's still startable, even with garbage quarterback play, I guess. Debo must rise in these rankings above Zay Flowers with the bad quarterback play, though. Keenan Allen has a bounce-back game, but he still is not better than T-Mac, and I'd rather have T-Mac than Zay Flowers at this point. I think that's a pretty fair C tier right there. Keenan Allen's going to have to drop down a little bit more as well. I think I'd rather have Waddle without Tyreek Hill. Waddle had a big day, 100-plus yards and a touchdown, and he had a good amount of targets as well, almost 10 targets. Metcalf has kind of been touchdown dependent. I've not really been encouraged by his actual receiving usage. I would try selling him high. Pearsall is always too injured. I can't even rank him. T. Higgins has to fall down these rankings. Jameson has to fall down these rankings. This is the tier of trolls. You don't know who to start. You don't know who to bench. And really, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Jordan Addison is somebody I would probably trust the most in this tier. Terry McLaurin coming off of an injury, I'd probably trust him the most. Lad McConkey has a pretty safe floor here, but I'd rather have Ricky if he's healthy. Devontae Smith, amazing game, but can you rely on the target volume? He's a troll. The volume's going to fluctuate there. T. Higgins is going to stay where he is. Jameson's going to stay where he is, because then the wide receivers get a little bit dusty. Dobbs is the wide receiver one for the Packers off of a bye week. I like it. Shaheed just hit his head on the goalpost. I've been telling you Shaheed is an encouraging volume week in, week out. I like Shaheed where he is. Jacoby Myers, probably the best receiving option for the Raiders. Disappointing day without Brock Bowers. If Brock Bowers comes back, I don't even know. Like Jacoby Myers, you can't trust him, but he still could have a 12-plus target game at any given point. Diggs, I've yet to see. DJ Moore versus the Commanders. I honestly think DJ Moore should be a bit higher in these rankings. Probably, I don't know. I think it's fine. There's a chance that Dobbs and Shaheed should be behind these three, but I think it's fine where it is. Golden and Jennings, Shakir, Coleman, these guys are all flex play considerations. Judy has the talent, but guess what? Dylan Gabriel did not look at the receiver once all game long. Don't trust any of the Browns receivers in your lineup. Bump them down. Haven't seen Hollywood yet. Mooney off of a bye week. Is he healthy? If he's healthy, he's borderline flex. Not really exciting. Really, the excitement stops really here after the Bills receivers and Calvin Ridley. And Calvin Ridley, we're going to bump up because he had a good game in the Titans win over the Cardinals. 5 catches, 100 yards, no touchdown, surprisingly. But I think Calvin Ridley has to jump right here ahead of Golden. But it's only one game, so don't look too much into it. Downs had a better game too. Like rest of season, I'm putting Downs ahead of Hollywood because you're getting Rashee Rice back in 1 week. Yet to see Travis Hunter. And to be honest, I think Mooney has to be higher than Wan'Dale Robinson. And Mooney has to be better than Hollywood. And to be honest, Judy's falling as well. Now, Cooper Kupp, don't be deceived by his game. Sell him if you can. Palmer, Kirk, Wiggins, like these guys all stink. You're not really starting any of them. Now, there are going to be a couple names that we are missing from this list. One of them is the Big Q. I forgot to add him, but the Big Q, Quentin Johnston, is still up here ahead of T-Mac in C tier. You're starting the Big Q if you have him. Let me see if there's any other names that I'm missing at first glance here. We talked about Wan'Dale Robinson. Chris Godwin's on here. If Mike Evans is healthy, you're starting Mike Evans as well. And you're starting Mike Evans probably, somewhere in the C tier range. So pretty decent confidence. Alik Iomonor had a disappointing day, but Iomonor I would still rank somewhere down here at the top of F tier. He's borderline flex consideration, but he just can't be trusted yet as a rookie. And then you start getting into some other fringe names like Tyquan Thornton should be somewhere here in F tier. Malik Washington without Tyreek Hill should be down here in F tier. But then you're really getting into the weeds. I would put Troy Franklin down there in F tier. And I think that's where we're going to draw the line. So that is the wide receiver rankings for week 6 and the rest of season. See you boys in QB tight end defense.